Hello guys, this is Blastoise from ExD Gaming, and today I am going to show you the build that I use basically on the Observer champs and the Arcanas that I pretty much use with almost all the Observer champs and heroes. But for this video we will be covering our main Observer champ, which is Alice, right? So just let me quickly go into the equipment settings and just let me change it to Alice. Okay, so basically you know about Alice, right? Her kit is pretty good. She has a good stun, a good shield that gives movement speed to the allies, as well as a pretty good ultimate, that gives the stun and slows in a circle around the area. Most importantly, the ult reduces the magic resistance of the enemies. So without further ado, let's begin into the item build. The first item build that I'm going to show you is the standard build that I typically use every time I play Alice, right? So the first item that I generally make is the Phoenix Tear. This item helps in regeneration of mana and health every time you level up, right? So basically this avoids you from going to base every time you are low on mana or health. So this item is pretty good and it is a must buy on Alice. The second item which comes in the item build is the Gilded Greaves, right? Not only it gives you magic defense, but it also gives you resistance against heavy CC, like be it a slow, be it a stun or anything like that. Okay, the third and the most item of this build is the Frost Cape, right? Not only it gives you 10% cooldown reduction, but it has a very good passive that is easily able to proc. Like if you use your second skill, you'll get movement speed. Okay, if your movement speed is much more than the movement speed of the enemies, you can easily make space to land an auto attack. So let me read out what the passive does for you. So after using an ability, the next normal attack reduces movement speed by 30% and deals 150 physical damage, right? So this is a go-to item for Alice, and like it is a heavy counter for champions like Superman. So like you have to build this item on while building Alice. The next item that comes is the Asterian's Buckler. Okay, like this item is basically used to upgrade the second skill of Alice, that is the shield that it provides, right? So with this item the shield will be boosted, and like it will really help your allies sustain in team fights and to absorb a lot of damage. The next item that comes in this build is the Aegis, right? This is a pretty important item in this build because it gives 20% cooldown reduction, right? And it also reduces the attacker's attack speed by 30% and movement speed by 15% for 3 seconds. So guys, you must be thinking why I'm making the Aegis and the Frost Cape together in one build. Like I'll tell you the reason behind it. Okay, so the next item that comes is the Frost's Revenge. So basically this item just upgrades your ultimate, right? The slow that your ultimate provides, this item is basically used to upgrade that slow and that CC chain. Okay, so guys, you must be aware that the maximum cooldown cap that we can make in this game is 40%. Okay, so if you build the Frost Cape, that's like 10%. If you build the Aegis, that's like the 20%. So if you combine these both of these, so it becomes 30%, right? So after I complete the build, I'll be showing you the Arcanas that I typically use with Alice, so you'll get a better idea like why I am telling you guys to make Frost Cape and the Aegis together in the same build. Now we are going on to a second build, which is the anti-heal build, right? So basically this build is used to counter the champions that heal a lot from their abilities, like Kilgroth, like Maganga, like Lubu. So this item is pretty good to counter all these champions. So let's take a quick look at the build again. So starting off with Phoenix Tear, like as usual, and for the regeneration of health and mana. The second item is the Gilded Greaves for the same reason. Now the third and the core item of this build is the Tome of the Reaper, right? I'll read you the passive what it does. On dealing damage, reduces target's HP regeneration by 50% for 1.5 seconds, right? If this is triggered by normal attacks, the duration is extended to 3 seconds. So basically, if you do some sort of a damage with your abilities, the HP regeneration is reduced by 50% for 1.5 seconds. But if you do consecutive auto attacks, then the duration is extended to like 3 seconds. So this is a big boost if you want to go against healing champions like Lubu, like Maganga, and like Kilgroth. So this item is used to counter such champion heroes. And again, making the Frost Cape for the passive proc. Then again the Asterian Buckler for the same passive, like to give to boost your second skill that gives shield to your allies. And the final item of this build will be the Aegis for the cooldown reduction. Now coming to the third and the final build that I go on with Alice is this build. Okay, this build was used by SMG Genji in the World Finals versus GTV in 2017. Right, let me tell you the purpose of this build. This build is very solid if you are going against a team that has like 4 or 5 physical damage dealers, right? Like if the enemy team doesn't have a single mage, then this is the go-to item build for that. So the starting of this build is with the Sonic Boots because it reduces the normal attack damage taken by 15%, right? Then you make the Night Spirit for the 210 armor, like, right? If you want, you can upgrade it to the Aegis, but I don't think it's that necessary, right? You have to focus on completing your core items first, and later on you can upgrade the Night Spirit to the Aegis. Now the third item in this build is the Virtuous Bracelet, right? The reason behind this item is that, you know, it gives you mana, like 20 mana per 5 seconds, and it, you know, the passive is pretty good over here, right? It restores 20% mana after earning a kill or assist, which is pretty big, to be honest. Now coming to the fourth item, which is the Frost's Revenge. Again, this item just helps you upgrade the CC your ultimate has, right? So this item is also pretty good. Now coming to the fifth item, which is known as the Crimson Banner. Like this item is pretty good against physical damage dealers, like not only if you are playing Alice, but if you are playing some other tanky or observer hero and the enemy team has like 4 or 5 physical damage dealer, then this is the go-to item to make. And finishing off this build is with the Ancient Glory, right? It gives you 1000 health, but keeping that aside, the passive that it gives is pretty big, right? So this was the item build that was used by SMG Genji. Now I'm going to show you the Arcanas that I use. So basically for Alice, I used these Arcanas: Enlightened 10x, Benevolence 10x, and Focus 10x. So basically guys, if you combine the cooldown speed that these 10 Arcanas gives is like 10% cooldown reduction, right? Now going back to the build that I showed you, I made Frost Cape that used to give 10% cooldown reduction. Then I made the Aegis that gave 20% cooldown reduction, and this 10% cooldown reduction from the Arcanas. So basically, if you combine the cooldown reduction from the Frost Cape, from the Aegis, and from the Arcanas, it will be equal to 40%, right? So this 40% means a lot to someone who is playing a champion like Alice, right? Because not only you will be able to land your stun more frequently, but your shield, which is for your second shield, will also be, you can use it again, and your ultimate will be having pretty low cooldown, so which is a big plus when you get to the later game stage, right? So I'll just, you know, switch up and show you the proper stat that this Arcana build gives. It gives you a total of 53 ability power, 450 health, 4% movement speed, plus 52 health per 5 seconds, and cooldown speed 10%. Like this cooldown speed 10% is the pretty important part of this build, right? So guys, this is all from my side. We'll be bringing up another item guide in the next video. So till then, take care, peace.
Download and play now Arena of Valor.